Hi guys, Zyger here, and in today's video I will be designing a spooky Halloween environment. For those wondering why, well, I find it great practice to open up a new scene and design something. I personally suck at designing maps, so I love to get the practice when I can, especially maps that are themed around dark areas, because I find it really difficult to place lights in the right places, to still make it look spooky but make it playable. So I'll be using the core engine to create this map, and I'll walk you through every step of designing something yourself. This video is also sponsored by Core, so if you want to follow along or use a great engine to make something, you can download it down below. Now let's get into it. Okay, so the first step to designing anything is to start with an empty scene. This makes it a lot easier. Next up, I would usually take my notepad out or go onto Photoshop and sketch out a plan for my design. This part is crucial because with any plan you know what you're doing and you don't get yourself in a situation of having to scrap or delete things because they don't work. Because we are in the spooky season, I decided to create a mansion that's a little abandoned and creepy. But honestly, it doesn't matter what you create, as in the end everything is just practice. Okay, so back in the game engine, I'm going to start by mapping out the basic pieces. What I mean by this is I'm going to create the structure of the mansion and the map. So no details, no props or anything, just simple blocks. In Core, we can go into the Basic Shapes tab and grab any blocks we want. I basically went around scaling and rotating them to fit my needs. I started by creating the shell of the house and then moved on to other aspects, like creating spaces for doors. I then quickly moved on to creating a big stairway down the middle of the house. I'm going to make this design a 2-story mansion, and also a big broken staircase fits the theme of abandoned. Soon after, I made some banisters and fences around the stairs and also created some balconies. Once again though, let me reiterate, make sure you're only creating the shell of your build, don't go adding too many details. Finally, I went round and added some pillars and different aspects to the outside of the house, once again sticking to the shell though. So step 2 of designing is texturing the current shell. So start applying whatever materials you want to the build, but once again don't add any details. Choosing a palette of materials can be hard, at least I find it difficult. There's a bunch of websites that can help you find palettes of colours and things, so I just ended up sticking to a darker palette to once again fit the theme of a spooky mansion. After adding all the materials I needed to the house, I moved on to making the outside of the mansion. I didn't want to focus too much on this area, so I ended up placing some old trees and foliage around it. I used things like bushes, ferns and grass and other assets to make it look more natural. I was basically just trying to fill this area. Soon after, I moved on to the inside of the mansion. It was now time to decorate this. And honestly, I was literally winging it the entire time. So when I planned out this mansion, I never actually planned on what the inside was going to look like. So I ended up just looking for assets that would fit the theme. Honestly, next time I should really plan out the inside because I found this step to be really difficult. A lot of the time I was finding myself to not be able to fill certain aspects of the mansion and make it look coherent. So if you're ever designing something, make sure to plan the inside of your builds as well. Anyways, it was a little bit scuffed, but here is a short montage of me making it. And for those wondering what engine I'm using to make this, I'm using Core, which is a free game engine that you can get with the link down below. Core has thousands of different assets in its library like sounds, music, decals, effects and more, and allows you to make a game with no code required. But still gives you the option to code your own script. So if this sounds like something you like, there is a download link in the description.
Ryan Little.
Okay, now before I show you the finished product, there is a few final steps. Firstly, the skybox. I did a new one that was set in the night and played around with its settings to make it slightly darker. Core has a bunch of preset skyboxes that you can use, but whatever engine you're using, you definitely can make one yourself. I also then moved on to adding decals. So decals are objects that you can place in the map that change its appearance, I guess. For instance, it's things like puddles, cracks, and more. And Core has quite a big library of these, however if you're using other engines you might have to make them yourself. So I went around placing a bunch of these to make the mansion look spookier. Pretty much it was making it look a lot nicer and was filling it up quite easily. So I added a bunch of vines, leaves, cracks, graffiti, and even blood. In the end, it was looking a lot better and I'm so glad I made this step. Finally, I added some music that gets louder the closer you get to it, and it was pretty much done. Something that I didn't mention earlier was lighting. I basically added a bunch of candles and things that looked spooky into the mansion. Because the skybox wasn't too dark, you were able to see things pretty clearly, but the lights definitely helped a lot. So in this particular build, the lights were more aesthetic than actual lighting, if you know what I mean. So here is the final mansion that I designed. Okay, so I know this video was slightly different, but I still hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out Core down below because it's free and pretty cool. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!